Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. It's Thursday, July 24th, 2025. And as I said on Tuesday, training camp is raging. We have players who are being out for the season and then being out for 2 hours later because they're actually fine. Justin Fields, thank goodness, only a toe injury. Quick reminder to everyone that, they use the cart for kind of basically anything at training camp. Like if you get a little bit hot, they load you onto the cart. And then sometimes if you blow out your Achilles, then they just make you walk off the field. The cart is not always instructive.
I mean, if you have to go to the bathroom, they literally put you on the cart.
Not even a joke. They do cart you if you have to go to the bathroom. We'll touch on the Justin Fields panic. We'll talk about oh my God, Russell Wilson, huh? Name the starter. Brian Dable trying to be brave. But have you noticed this trend with Russell Wilson where his coaches try to anoint him the starter as fast as possible because they know they're going to have regrets? Like if they don't take the pledge to the revolution now, they know they'll waver later. It's like, I'm going to stiffen me spine now. Name Russ the starter. So I'll actually fight the Redcoats, the Giants trying to be brave. Russell Wilson starter. Terry McLaurin holding out. What do we do about it in fantasy? A second Chris Godwin ankle procedure, which they said was expected. I mean, it was so expected, that they never said anything about it. But it was expected. Najee Harris, they're saying he might not come to training camp now.
Yeah.
A little interesting. James Cook did come to training camp. Is he a giga regression candidate? Tight end corner. Man, we put Kyle Pitts on the show sheet before Michael Penix came out. It was like, dude is tight end one. Dude is tight end one. We got Michael Penix. Michael Penix, he's winning the I'm New Here award. Michael Penix, bless his heart, he thinks Kyle Pitts is good. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Kenneth Walker. We'll talk about Luther Burden, maybe. Shanny receiving disaster, maybe. There is big news with one of the biggest names in fantasy football, Denny Carter. A shocking revelation from a long time wide receiver one. What is it?
Tyreek Hill came out to the assembled media on Tuesday, and he said, guys, I'm going to try this thing where you actually put forth effort. And I just want to see how it goes. I owe it to myself and maybe the team that's paying me the GDP of Guatemala to try. And so here's what he said. Here's what Tyreek Hill said. He said, quote, I want to see what it looks like when I focus on football. Quote, I feel like I haven't given
sure this wasn't like an NFL like Centel or whatever those parody accounts are, because it sounds like it, Mr. Tyreek.
Yeah, no, I mean it gets worse. By the way, right. I feel like I haven't given the best version of Tyreek my whole career. What? It's you can't say this in public. No. And then Tua, of course, they ask him about it, and he can't be like, we love Tyreek, whatever. He has to be like, well, he's going to have to work hard to get back in our good graces. I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, he has to say something like that, even though Tua's not good. But I mean, he has to. He's the quarterback. He has to say that. Anyway, Tyreek.
Can we get 10 minutes of Denny doing this? I just want to. I've had so much fun
you just can't. I'm sorry, you can't come out and be like, by the way, I'm a Hall of Fame receiver. I've never tried.
I was never trying. By the way, that's also a defense mechanism some people start using when they do have to start working hard. I actually never even tried.
It's literally what children do the first time they lose a game of dodgeball. I was I don't even care about this game, if I'm being honest. That's why I lost. Of course.
Tyreek felt slow once and then announced to the world he has to start trying.
Well, I mean, look, there are, extraordinary athletes in a lot of sports who eventually are forced to try. I remember, not that Brandon Ayuk is a Hall of Fame or anything, but Brandon Ayuk was
here real quick, producer Adam. Yeah, can we isolate the Denny saying Ayuk Hall of Famer?
Yes, that's what I said. Yes, that's exactly. I've been saying this for years. Ayuk, I remember seeing a quote from him being like, it wasn't until my second year when I was like, oh, I have to try.
Yes.
And so it does dawn. Look, it took 10 years for Tyreek to realize this in the NFL, but he has realized it, and that's important.
Tyreek Hill has to try to be good at football now. We have to try to calm down after one minor vague Justin Fields injury report. Justin Fields, again, aforementioned carting Thursday morning, as people sat around worrying, is it his ACL? Is it his Achilles? Is it his PCL? Is it his, what's the really bad one that you never want to tear in the knee?
The LCL?
No, it's not an CL one. It's totally different. What's the really bad one?
I only know MCL.
It's not meniscus either. It's a real bad one. It's his toe. So it's totally fine.
It was his toe.
Toe doesn't even matter at all.
It wasn't even the big toe either. Non-big toe injury.
Whoa, wait a second. Yeah. No, I'd rather him have blown out his knee. I mean, the toe's going to linger all year. He's not going to be able to do anything on that thing.
This is not a joke. As everyone knows, I'm now a Disney dad. I went to Disney World once and loved it. But Disney World was a competitor of ours too, owned by a rival corporation. Lovely place. A lot of walking at Disney World.
So much walking.
One of my toes has not been the same since I was at Disney World. I'm not even kidding. Just has not been the same since
Dude, when you go to sorry to derail the show. We've got a lot to talk about. When you go to Disney World, at the end of the day, your like Ring app or whatever, like whatever health fitness garbage you're wearing to let you know that you walked a lot of steps is like, dude, you need to calm down. I did 13 miles in Disney World one day.
It's really weird that they hand you a Sherpa when you get there. You're like, wow, this is kind of strange. I didn't think I
That's unnecessary. And at the end of the day, you're like, Sherpa, please save me.
Please save me. Injured toe for Justin Fields. But when it felt like a major injury, it felt like a weird season ender for the Jets.
Yeah,
even though he's not that good, it would have been so depressing and so because he's like the one thing they kind of have to look forward to this year. They even know he's not good. Well, he might do some cool stuff sometimes. Wouldn't that be awesome, Denny? And I mean, do we even have anything to say about this other than he got hurt and now he's fine? And that we have way too much invested in him in fantasy football, considering his real life level of skill.
I mean, when he was being loaded onto the cart, they were building a dollar store.
I heard the bandsaw going.
Yeah, I mean, I was begging them. I said, please, can we just get one update before you finish this thing? So yeah, I'm heavy on Justin Fields this year. It felt like a season ender for fantasy. Honestly, they're the same. From a real football standpoint, let's be real, they're the same with Tyrod Taylor.
No. Because my extremely correct Tyrod Taylor take.
I know.
He plays 42 snaps and then he's out for 4 weeks with broken ribs.
Pat, do you know? This isn't for sure, but do you know who could be the next man up after Tyrod Taylor?
Please tell me. I know it's someone good. Is it Timmy Boyle still?
No, baby. This one's gonna hit home for you. Brady Cook.
Oh yeah. I forgot someone tweeted a Brady GIF.
Wow.
Cook GIF at me this morning. Brady Cook GIFs exist, by the way.
That's Mizzou legend. Brady Cook.
Mizzou legend Brady Cook, who didn't at all
the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes in that bowl game 2 years ago that we didn't play anyone for because it was meaningless.
Brady Cook, he's a winner. He beat the Ohio State University. He beat the Iowa University. I think we won our bowl game this year. Can't remember if we actually won or not. Doesn't matter at all is the problem, as Kyle alluded to. But no, they would have been Tyrod Taylor. Dude's 36 years old. He breaks a rib. Like he doesn't even get hit anymore. He like moves awkwardly. It's like, I sneezed really hard and I broke a rib. That's Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, no, it is.
It would have never been more over if Tyrod Taylor. I had a few people tweet at me the Tyrod Taylor thing. Like, get out of here.
The toe really it bothers me though. I mean, that's the sort of thing where around Halloween we're going to get a report from Rap Sheet being like the toe's still a major issue. He's going to need surgery on it. They're just trying to get through the season.
They just numb it. It doesn't matter. You don't even need to feel that toe when you're running around out there on the field. But Kyle, you worried? Is he your most drafted quarterback in best ball? I'm assuming.
No, it's Drake May. It's not even close. Yeah. I do have a good amount of Fields. I think maybe the one thing that like these are always, even if it is an injury that doesn't seem like it'll have any effect on his ability to play in week one, that doesn't seem like it's a guarantee, but it seems pretty likely. I'm not penciling in anyone else to start in week one. It's good to get like a splash of cold water on your face. Wake up from the dream where Justin Fields is running for 1,100 yards and remind yourself of some of the downside scenarios, not even related to the injury, but kind of one that I've just been tossing around a little bit, is everyone, I think rightfully says, this is a team that is really going to pick their spots when they pass well, or when they pass, because they want to pass not that often, but do it extremely well. But the thing that Fields is really good at is specifically not even running. He's good at that. He is phenomenal at scrambling. I mean, he's like Lamar Jackson when he scrambles. Since entering the NFL, he's fourth in yards. He might be. He is fourth in yards per carry, fourth in missed tackles forced per attempt, and first in yards after contact per attempt on scrambles specifically. And he's first in yards after contact per attempt by a country mile. No one holds a candle to him because he just has this home run ability when he does. Well, spreads out.
The difference between him and Lamar, though, is he's willing to get Mac trucked, which Lamar does not do.
Lamar's super good at not taking that hit. Yeah, and, I mean, maybe that's why he juices the numbers a little bit. He plays very fast and loose with his scrambles, and he's so good. He's physically so gifted. It typically works out. It's fine. But on design runs, which I think is what a lot of people say when they say Fields is going to run a lot and the Jets are going to run a lot, it's going to be design runs. He's just good. He's in that like 8 to 10 range in terms of yards after contact, missed tackles forced, yards per carry on design runs specifically. It's good, but that's more like Daniel Jones, essentially, who's a good enough runner, especially like he had a 700-yard season a few years ago. But really what makes Fields a special, like, quote, special fantasy asset is a game when he drops back 40 times and runs for 120 yards because he still takes 8 sacks and he scrambles 12 times and he has 2 40-yard touchdowns. I think cutting back specifically the drop back volume and trying to supplant his rushing volume through design carries might not go as well as fantasy managers expect. Might. I say might because I draft a lot of them. I still want the guy who can rush for 1,100 yards, but always good to recalibrate when something like this, potentially shakes things up.
Kyle, I was trying to think, like, what even is the takeaway from this? Like, it was because this is a real classic. What did we learn here? When everyone panicked and everything was fine.
Yeah.
The takeaway is it was a good reminder that this is Justin Fields. And maybe we should not be so overinvested in Justin Fields. And maybe Justin Fields, every time he scrambles, should not allow an Amazon electric delivery truck to run him over at the 50-yard line. No one laughing at that one because it wasn't very funny. That's why. So we're going to move on to someone who's funny. You just say the name and they cue the laugh track, Russell Wilson. Officially named the starter. Brian Dable is steeling himself for the morning. He's had a gill of rum. He says he's preparing to go into battle. And did
you go to the Renaissance Fair recently?
I'm reading a book on the New Revolution right now.
Okay.
I'm The Fate of the Day by Rick Atkinson. If you want to check it out, it's really good. But yeah, trying to be brave. I don't know. Was there anything? We knew Russ was the starter.
Well, I just find it funny that Daboll was like, everybody else is trying to be the backup here. Like,
he's trying to be brave. You have to like psych yourself up to start Russell Wilson. It's like it becomes like a mantra. Like, we're starting Russell Wilson. We're starting Russell Wilson. We're starting Russell Wilson. And then the next thing you know, you have 50 typewritten pages of just saying we're starting Russell Wilson. And you're wondering if you're going insane or not, but you are because you're starting Russell Wilson. Yeah.
I do feel like there's a chance that it works for them.
Cut it.
Because I'm not talking about from a fantasy. I don't care about Wilson in fantasy, except for his.
Kyle, I cut his mic there real quick.
That's not a bit. He cut his mic.
I'm sorry, I'll never do that again.
No, I want you. No. I'm on the other end. I am mandating.
I will never do that again.
I will even sacrifice myself.
I thought my StreamYard was going crazy.
I'm sorry. I'll never do that again.
You can sacrifice my mic. I mandate one mic cut every episode.
I'm sorry.
Until December.
I can't get him off his train of thought like that. I'm sorry.
No. I got it. Look, Russell Wilson said he's like, I mean, the reason I came here was to throw the ball to Malik Neighbors. So that's
all
good.
Right, cut his mic again.
That's good. If Russ is listening, if I could just offer two pieces of advice to keep your job, just never stop throwing to Malik Neighbors, and also once in a while dump it off to my guy Scadaboo and just let him rumble. And you're gonna get the fans into it. Your teammates are gonna freaking love it. The vibes can actually be not rancid for the Giants. I believe that.
No, come on, stop.
I believe it.
Come on. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Denny, we gave you microphone privileges. Don't make us take them away again.
No, listen.
Did you seriously just say that?
No, they have no. They have a path. So last year they had no path.
What is to wear?
No, wait. They had no path to unrancid vibes last year.
They still don't.
Be rancid. They have a path this year. I'm telling you, if Malik Neighbors doesn't get injured every other catch, and Scadaboo does his thing, and Russell Wilson doesn't completely mess it up, I really believe this team can win 7 games. I don't care what anyone says.
I get a little concerned when Denny has one of these like really out there Denny takes because the worse the Denny take is, a lot of times the more like it ends up being right. Because like your normal bad takes are wrong, but then like your truly awful takes end up being right.
It's bell curve meme. It's bell curve meme. Where at the top end of the bell curve, you really are finding some like deep-seated kernel of truth that bears out to, bears fruit more often than you would expect for how crazy the take is.
Yeah, so we'll see. Russell Wilson, anyways. Vibes might not be rancid in New York, per our own Denny Carter. Vibes not great in Washington, D.C. We're talking about the football team, by the way. I was not trying to make any sort of reference there. Terry McLaurin. So this happens a lot. Where last year the Commanders were like the vibes-based champions of the NFL. No one expected. I mean, people were excited because Daniel Snyder was gone, new GM, new coach, new quarterback. It was a new day. I don't think any Commanders fan was betting on an NFC Championship game appearance. Just a true storybook season, one of the most storybook seasons in recent NFL history. But when the vibes go that high, that quickly, that unexpectedly, a lot of times there can kind of be a crash. We're not seeing that yet with the Commanders, Denny. But Terry McLaurin is holding out. Terry McLaurin, let's be real, is not one of the better number one receivers in the NFL. But the Commanders do not have a good receiver depth chart. They're depending a lot on Deebo Samuel bouncing back from, just age and injury history and taking so many hits. How concerned are we about the Terry McLaurin injury for the Commanders' overall offense? Even though, if we weren't loving Terry McLaurin as our wide receiver too, he's a take your medicine wide receiver too. What do we think about this holdout? And I mean, do we think anything? Because he'll probably just be back soon. But what do we think?
Was that for me?
Yeah, I said Denny. Sorry.
Sorry. You said Denny like 15 minutes ago. No, I'm not particularly in love with drafting McLaurin right now. I mean, I believe his ADP has dropped a little bit. Not as much as I thought.
He's the wide receiver 18, which is a little higher than I thought. Late third round.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. The one thing, he's going to play. Like, let's be real. Like, he's going to be playing week 1. But, 13 touchdowns last year, that's a lot compared to his previous touchdown production. I mean, he's a prime regression candidate.
Well, is there any take, though, that Denny... It's the first time he was in a real offense, basically. Ever.
Right.
And he scores 13 touchdowns.
Well, it wasn't so. It wasn't just that he scored 13 touchdowns, but he did it on only 116 targets. So if you look at like his previous target numbers, like 132, 122, like he did it. He eclipsed his previous touchdown production with fewer targets. That I feel like is a little bit unlikely. He's not a hateful pick by any means. But I just find myself going elsewhere at that part of the draft.
So what percent are you at with Terry McLaurin? Because Kyle, as we know, the best ball players categorically refuse to ever not draft a player.
I'm not necessarily a best ball bro. I'm at 0.0%.
Oh, yeah. What are you at, Kyle?
I'm a coward. I'm definitely not there. The DraftKings app where most of my drafting is done won't let you see how much of a player you've drafted until you set your lineup for anything else, and then it populates to show me how much I've had of a certain player. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Let me enter a tennis lineup, and then I can check. Just enter a tennis lineup real quick.
Right. Yeah, the Cincinnati Open.
While I filibuster for that, though, I another spot where, like Danny said, dude, he is playing. There's no scenario in which he's not playing for the Commanders in week 1, but always good to use these moments of pause to reevaluate your thoughts on the situation. And for Terry, like I said, it doesn't change much for me, but it does give me some pause on, I'm also big time fading Deebo Samuel. He's an old player coming off of just a career worst year by every single metric, both his rushing and his receiving metrics.
But it might work for us.
And I'm thinking, what if it worked for us? And I'm not actually drafting a ton of him, to be clear. But if it's a conditional, if he is the Deebo Samuel that he was 2, 3, 4 years ago, not the Deebo Samuel
6,
he was last
7,
year.
8, 9, 10, 11 years ago, South Carolina Deebo.
All of those years ago, if he is that guy, that is perfect for what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do. Last year, the Commanders were 5th in screen passes thrown. They were 22nd in EPA per play on those throws, i.e. they were extremely stubborn in their desire to scheme up touches for guys who could not produce squat with their scheme touches. And they go out and get the scheme touches king, who since entering the NFL, Deebo Samuel, just easily leads the NFL in targets, catches, and yards on screens. But he's also the most efficient at producing yak on his screens on a per catch basis. So let's just say that if everything goes as the Commanders want it to go, this is a match made in heaven. Of course, I said with the caveat that he's an old player coming off a terrible year, but it gives me some insight into the upside that if this works out well, I think it could work out really well. I'm just not super sold that it does.
It's actually a really compelling counterintuitive take, but I do think like the main macro take everyone has on Debo is correct in that it's not even just that he's getting older. I think he's only 28 and he's 29 actually, but his hits, he's not taking normal receiver hits since he was the change of pace running back. He has taken lower body damage that you just don't normally take at the wide receiver position. And this is why I'm ultimately really bearish on Debo Samuel really bouncing back. Too also bearish, like a huge bearish indicator for Debo is the ultimate scheme guy in the NFL decided he didn't want Debo for a scheme anymore.
You're right.
Like that's not great. Kyle though did mention there are parts of Cliff's scheme, which may be underrated scheme, I guess.
Cliff cooked last year. I mean,
he did. Cliff cooked here.
Kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean only a little bit. Yeah, I mean let's be real.
I was gonna say I think Jaden Daniels cooked is what it was because Cliff was also doing a lot of the same stuff. I mean the screen stuff. So the Cardinals were the #1 team in the NFL in running screens over his time at Arizona. This is not obviously it's not a new development. No team threw more screens when he was in Arizona than Cliff Kingsbury's Cardinals. And he does the exact same thing here. He did the exact same thing with Terry McLaurin where he says, I'm going to stick you not even on the outside, specifically on one side of the formation. And he has Jaden Daniels, who's an incredible deep ball thrower. And he says, no, let's just do short and intermediate stuff. And when we need a Hail Mary, Jaden, that's when you can throw a deep ball. And of course, Jaden did that stuff. He's awesome. But actually, I push back on giving Cliff too much credit.
So, Denny, how does it feel to be catastrophically wrong again?
Eesh. I mean, the guy.
We can give credit to the guy who washed out in Arizona and then lucked into an MVP caliber quarterback, or we can just give credit to the MVP caliber quarterback. I'm just going to do that.
Or we can accept that he changed his life in Thailand.
I mean,
he did go to Thailand that one time. I forgot about that.
Went to Thailand.
Yeah, 2% he was in Thailand for a long time, and
he was there quite a while.
And he was grinding film the whole time.
He was. Chris Godwin, one of the big names this summer already. Before it was revealed, he had a second ankle operation. They're framing it again as a planned operation, as a cleanup procedure. Cleanup, is supposed to be like the least concerning variety of surgery, even though it's, let me see here, a surgery. It is a surgery where they are operating on your body. Denny, I mean, concern level for week 1. Does it really even change anything? The thing about Chris Godwin is that if anyone can miss training camp, like Chris Godwin's one of those guys who could just miss training camp, but it doesn't matter. He also, not just his veteran status, like he's played enough with Baker Mayfield at this point. The Bucs are on their 4th offensive coordinator in 4 years, but I mean, this offense is just going to look like the Baker Mayfield offense, I think. What do we tell people about a Chris Godwin procedure? Does it open up an opportunity for Emeka Egbuka to maybe go nuts in the slot?
I mean, for a time, Egbuka would, play as the primary slot receiver, most likely if Godwin is not ready for the start of the season. I can't say whether this second operation was, scheduled and not a surprise. It seems not to be the case. But I saw speculation a month ago from Bucs beat writers that like Godwin was like 50-50 to be ready for the start of the season. I would tend to think that if you're drafting him, you'd need to be ready for him to miss a game or 2 or 3, something in that range, and then roll from there. Hopefully he's okay after that. To me, I'm a little queasy about the whole situation, and I think Egbuka is an amazing option for if that happens, for if that unfolds, if this worst case scenario unfolds for Godwin and he misses time. Egbuka then maybe has a chance to establish himself in the offense, and that could be a factor throughout the season.
Wide receiver 37, Kyle, for Chris Godwin. Wide receiver 48 for Emeka Egbuka. It just seems like such a chaotic situation. I mean, I guess it's not chaotic to the Bucs. They don't mind having more weapons, but I just am having a tough time. I'm struggling to know what to tell people about this situation. Denny just had some good thoughts. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think the way Denny framed it, and something we've talked about before, we'll talk about again, is with these young players, if you are a veteran trying to hold on to your valuable role, the last thing you want to do is leave the door open. Mm-hmm. And if Chris Godwin isn't ready for week 1, or if Chris Godwin's just not perfectly healthy, like he's physically able to be out there, but he's just not what we saw last year, that leaves the door wide open for a first-round pick with a really strong profile. Yeah. To me, that's the perfect opportunity to bet on someone like Emeka Egbuka. And I don't even think Chris Godwin's like a terrible click as he continues to fall, because last year he was on pace to finish as the wide receiver 2 overall. He was dominating out of the slot. but there's so much risk, not only for the playing time, but if he just misses week 1 or 2, or if they took Egbuka because they knew they were going to play him in the slot and bump Chris Godwin outside, that all of that high value slot stuff just disappears overnight. So to me, it's not the worst pick in the world to take Chris Godwin, but it's just so much risk to take on. And Egbuka's kind of the opposite, where you're not taking on that much risk taking him as barely your wide receiver 4. The early season projection looks a little bit better if you have Chris Godwin shaky for week 1. And of course, the late season upside is just really untapped with a guy like him. So to me, it's kind of cut and dry on how I want to approach this, unless the Godwin price really falls further, at which point, yeah, everyone becomes a value at some point.
Really good takes. We're playing our best baseball right now. It's a real shame that it's the All-Star break, but we'll be right back after this. Tune in to NBC Sports Now for all the biggest stories in sports, beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern with PFT Live, followed by the Dan Patrick Show, the Dan Lebitard Show, Stu Goats, Fantasy Football Happy Hour, and Chris Sims Unbuttoned. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, the Roku channel, Samsung TV Plus, and more. Visit NBCSports.com/now for more details. Najee Harris. Every week they're like, I don't know, man. More like every day. They cannot figure out what is going on with Najee Harris. They're being extremely cagey, extremely suspicious. One would say, I don't know. What do we tell people about Najee Harris? And that it's looking, he needed a full training camp, I feel like, to come out of the gates with the 12 to 14 carry role. And we're not getting that, Denny. We're getting the exact opposite instead.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing was kind of predictable once we got those alarming, disturbing reports of what happened to him, with the firework accident. And then, they say, well, the team basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, it's no big deal. Like, he'll be fine. He's going to go see a doctor.
Superficial was the wording his agent put out.
Superficial. Give me a break with superficial, man. It's the eye.
Absolutely love to go to the Stanford Medical School.
Yeah.
Superficial eye.
Okay. So I really feel like if you played this right, as soon as I hate to talk about a guy's injury in this way, but it is fantasy football, and that's what we do. But
unseemly from Denny.
As soon as you hear this, like, you're just hammering Omari and Hampton. Like, Hampton is going to be the whole backfield if things break a certain way. And I'm excited about it. I feel like he has the juice.
You're excited about someone getting hurt.
I'm not.
I'm so glad you asked Denny to go first in this question.
I definitely want Najee Harris to come out of this 100% A-OK. I also think Hampton is very excited.
I think he will too. The eye is something you do not want to injure.
Right.
Something. Mike Zimmer almost went blind as a coach because he rushed back from an eye injury.
Oh my gosh.
It's not worth the trade-off to rush back from it. So maybe with Najee, he's probably just being a rare for an athlete, like actually responsible with his health and not trying to rush back too quickly. Really good takes there from Denny. What do you have, Kyle?
Yeah, I thought that was gross. It was disgusting.
It was disgusting, actually.
With that being said, and this is like such a good window to be hammering Omari and Hampton. This was the whole thesis. Don't laugh at me. I mean, the whole thesis with Najee Harris was that he is a guy who is more than capable of eating up a lot of touches. And for Omari and Hampton, that's frustrating because Hampton is kind of just the better version of that. He's not as incredibly home run explosive as an Ashton Genty. He's not the Jahmyr Gibbs pass catcher, but he's like 60 to 75% of those aspects. He's a good home run hitter. He is a good, capable pass catcher. But really, the appeal with him is he can do a lot of those things, be relatively efficient on extreme volume. That's not that fun if you were splitting the backfield with Najee Harris. This just does not seem like a scenario in which he comes out and splits the backfield anymore. Neither of them is the incumbent. Najee Harris was signed first, but they're going to have the same amount. Well, they were going to have the same amount of practice reps with the team. But one of them, Omari and Hampton, has a higher buy-in from his team in terms of what they had to give up to get him. And now he's the one who is also getting more practice reps with the first team offense. They're not even doing the, like, let's give some of the other veterans, let's give Kamani Vidal some shots with the ones or whatever. Like, they haven't done any of that. It's been all Hampton with the ones.
Which is really dumb. Kamani Vidal should be getting run.
Guys, my dynasty team has an opening, and I would love for Kamani Vidal to reach out there and take it. With that being said, I do not think that's happening. This is how you get the full workload in week one, and that was the only big concern with the Omari and Hampton profile, and that wall seems to have been knocked down at this point.
Najee always had the Gus Edwards role, but the Gus Edwards role can vary widely. It can be 12 to 14 weekly carries, or it could be 6 to 8. And it's just impossible to see how it's not on the lower end of that. And Amarian Hampton, the rare running back that the league views as talented enough to take in the first round these days, giving him this runway just seems so bad for Najee. And Najee just seems basically undraftable. I don't know did you guys see? I've been going viral for a Najee stat.
Really?
When Denny and I wrote up our free agency primer in March, I came across the really statistical oddity that Najee Harris has never had a 40-yard run in his entire career, or a 40-yard reception, by the way. He's never had a 40-yard gain. And he has 1,097 career carries. I'm like, there is no way someone with this many career carries has ever not had a 40-yard run.
Well,
and I looked at, so somehow only 190 players in NFL history have ever even reached 1,097 carries. And he is somehow the sixth of those 190 to never have a 40-yard carry. But none of them have played after 1996, and 4 of them were fullbacks. So
wow.
He's basically the least explosive running back in not only modern history, but maybe NFL history.
I know this is not the time, but I'm going to do it anyway. This was so predictable when he was coming into the league. Like, he had zero juice as a running back. He's a very bright young man. No juice, and the Steelers
wanting him was a huge red flag too.
Yes, but the Steelers drafted him because he's big. Come on, man.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right. If you wanted a big back, there's nobody better to take. You take him. He doesn't have any juice though.
Najee's so good at being large.
We should play the game real quick. So he's rising up in ADP. We'll run it quickly. Just ahead of him, he right now, as of the past 4 days, goes as the RB14. Just ahead of him is Kyren Williams. Both of you, Pat, go first. Kyren or Hampton?
I mean, I don't. Why play fantasy football if you draft Kyren Williams?
I know.
That's kind of what I say. Like, what
Denny
is even
on
the
board?
point? What is even?
Yeah, for sure.
Breece Hall or Amarian Hampton?
Yeah, Breece easily.
Hampton easily.
I'm going Hampton there. I'll just get to pull the lever on what if this rookie's a superstar?
Yeah,
and I think Breece might not be a superstar. I think he's very good, obviously.
Kyle kicked out of the Crane group chat.
I know. I like Breece too, but I'm just gonna take Hampton. I'll do the last one. Chase Brown. Pat, go first.
Chase Brown. Chase Brown is a born scammer. He's a scammer at heart. He's finding a way to be on the field for the snaps that matter in fantasy football.
I'm a Chase Brown truther. You know this, right?
We do know this.
Last year, I was all about got to get Chase Brown. I'm taking Hampton every time.
Wow.
Hampton is so Chase Brown there. I'll go with
Kyle. I do just worry a little bit about that Greg Roman dynamic, and that they so clearly want it to be a 2-back.
Yeah.
And it is Harbaugh, who he's not anti-rookie, but Harbaugh does make you earn it. I do worry a little bit about. Well, he did one little thing wrong. There was one little thing he didn't consistently do perfectly.
He actually had a drop in practice earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday.
No, it's over.
I'm taking Kyren pretty easily there, actually. Should have told me he had a single drop. No, Amarian Hampton, we're very excited. James Cook, no one is really that excited. He is at least in training camp. I don't even think he's holding in. I think he's there. I think he's practicing. James Cook, his first 2 years in the league, combined for 9 total touchdowns. Last year, he doubled that to 18. He tied for the league lead with 16 rushing touchdowns, Denny. But with the touchdowns, he actually had fewer receptions and fewer rushing yards last year than he did in 2023. Mm-hmm. He just seems like a screaming regression candidate because you have Josh Allen, who still scored 12 rushing touchdowns last year. You have Ray Davis, maybe prepared for a bigger role as a sophomore. James Cook is currently the RB15. Is that too high, or are we getting too focused on the negatives for James Cook?
I think that I can speak for myself and saying I think I'm focused a little bit too much on the negatives for James Cook. I think RB15 is a fine ADP. I find myself taking him sometimes, but I do want to highlight something here about his usage last year. He finally got some touches inside the 10-yard line, which really wasn't happening before 2024. He had 29 carries inside the 10. Only 6 running backs had more. So if he still sees 28, 30 around there carries inside the 10 this season, then the regression won't be as wild as you might imagine. He's not going to go from 18 total touchdowns to 6. Like, it's probably going to be like 12 or maybe like 14 even, which is a difference. That is a pretty significant difference. But I do think that he can stay afloat because of that usage. Now, if that usage goes away, all bets are off, and probably RB15 is optimistic.
Kyle, we do see this. Running backs can coexist with dual threat dynamos. Where Saquon Barkley, of course, didn't matter that Jalen Hurts scored 12 or 13 touchdowns last year. Lamar Jackson doesn't call his own number nearly as much near the goal line, but that did not hurt Derrick Henry for the Ravens. As Denny pointed out, there was an actual change in usage for James Cook last year. Still, just dude played under 50% of the Bills' snaps last year. 47% of the Bills' snaps. I mean, do we share some of Denny's like cautious optimism that the regression might not be as big as we expect, or is he just a full fade, James Cook?
Closer to a full fade for me. It's just we have been every single year. Everyone in the fantasy space goes on their podcast, goes on their articles, and says like this is like a very obvious regression candidate, not only for running backs but for a lot of different positions where scoring touchdowns is hard and fluky, and guys who score a bunch of touchdowns one year aren't the best bets like proportionally to do it again the next year. Like, it's just very hard to predict touchdowns, but the fantasy market at large always prices that guy up. So it's so hard not to look at what happened last year and say like, let's pencil that in for happening again. And while I do think we're getting better at that, right? He did not finish last year as the RB15. It was like 9, 10, or 11 or something like that. So we're pricing in a little bit of regression, but I do think I just want the market to ever once beat me at this game. I've always been like, I'm just not going to draft a guy who gets a bunch of touchdowns last year. And it works pretty often. And I think they're getting closer to not making my strategy work. I'll just let them beat me once before I actually go in and be like, do I have to figure out, should I draft the guy who scored a bunch of touchdowns last year and you have to pay a good amount for it? I don't want to find out. Over the past 10 years, 24 players seen 150 carries and a touchdown rate above 5% among the ones who did it, who had at least 150 carries again the next year. So they at least hit that threshold of volume. Their touchdown total fell to 5 on average at a 4% clip. Wow. 5 total touchdowns is the average for guys who look like James Cook. And if you hold constant, they said had to stay healthy, or at least healthy enough to reach the same touch threshold, or the same carry threshold. I don't think he's going to hit 5. But that just gives you an idea of how hard the regression can hit. There are guys in that group who scored 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. I don't want to be the one betting on that and saying like, well, he goes 3 or 4 running back spots later than he finished last year. What's the worst that could happen? It could get pretty bad. He scored 3 touchdowns 2 years ago, and like I think 3 before that as well. Like, if that happens and they're still giving Ty Johnson work as the third down back, like you are left with a very unappealing between the 20s type of bet.
Not wanting to get caught holding the James Cook bag is probably a good overall opinion. But
I mean, you're talking about James Cook around 2 targets per game last year on average.
They don't let him do any cool stuff.
That's tough.
Score the touchdowns.
It's tough to get by with that sort of pass game usage, I will say.
47% of the Bills snaps. Like that's
so low.
That's pretty shocking.
It's actually.
Not high. And also telegraphing like badly that they don't want to pay him. So
I know.
We'll see on James Cook. It's now time for tight end corner. It's a new recurring feature that we're going to do one time ever on the show. and that's because, listen, not even a joke. I think we had mostly agreed to never talk about Kyle Pitts again. And we're one day into training camp. And I don't know if you've heard, Kyle Pitts is back. It is working for us. Nothing has ever counted harder. He's been cleared. First off, he's not hurt. He's fully practicing. Second off, Kyle Pitts has never had a position. Now he has even less of a position. He's been practicing with the receivers a lot. And thirdly, Michael Penix, the new leader of the team, came out after Thursday's practice and began his press conference. I think he wasn't even asked a question yet. And he said, "Did you see that we got Kyle Pitts the ball? Gonna be a lot of that this year." Kyle, I mean, Denny, yeah, who wants to take? I'll let Kyle go first.
No, Denny raised his hand.
Denny,
go ahead, Denny. Step on this rake.
Yeah.
We falling for it ever again?
First of all, of course not. Kyle Pitts goes into the never good Hall of Fame.
Yes, never ever good.
Wasn't good in college. Wasn't good here in the pro.
All right. Hold on.
Yes, okay. Let Denny cook. Let Denny cook.
I'm just
boost his mic. Boost Denny's mic.
Make my mic louder.
Yeah.
Okay. So Michael Penix says we lots of Pitts this year, and I'm sure fantasy drafters hear that and they're, oh my god, I gotta get, I'm underwater, I'm Pitts, I gotta get more. Stop, just stop. So Penix had 3 starts last year. I know it's not a lot, but it's what we have to work with. Kyle Pitts was targeted on 12% of his routes.
Well, that was when he wasn't good though.
12%. Yeah. Do you understand that's like you're like random tight end 3 on a team that runs a lot. Like that's what that is. So no, it's not happening. I don't care what happens here. It's not happening.
Kyle, any quick thoughts on Kyle Pitts, the tight end corner?
Yeah, I brought this up before. I didn't even bother to look up the numbers, but he's being drafted after where he finished just in terms of tight end position last year. And unless you think they're just benching him, which like they could have just done that last year. Like he was good. He was not good enough to not be benched. But I think the fact that they don't go out and add a big backup that could potentially take work from him down the road, and that they haven't said like, yeah, we don't think he's going to be even playing the role he did last year. Like there's nothing to indicate that he's not out there running a bunch of routes. And at this price, you were exclusively paying for a bunch of routes for a guy who a long time ago was good, to be clear, was an extremely good college prospect.
Oh, all right.
What do you mean? Oh, Pat, what was your least favorite part about his profile?
First off, that he was never good, and that his name that he did not have a position. He's not even really a tight end. That was always the biggest red flag for me.
That was
he's not even really a tight end.
I also heard this about Brock Bowers. Like, I don't want to hear.
I know Brock Bowers. Well, it's fine. He's not a tight end. He's an.
I will say the difference is that Bowers can get away from defenders.
Bowers is an H-back.
I'm telling you, Pitts used to be able to do that. Look back at 2014. 2012. It's a long time. It has been a long time, but he used to be good. I don't think he's that good anymore, to be clear. Like, I think whether it was just that the first year in which he had one of the most productive rookie seasons in tight end history was just a fluke, maybe that's it. Or maybe it was that he messed up his knee and he will never come back from that. Totally possible. And in fact, he's being drafted like there's really no chance he comes back. And it's been 3 years. He probably isn't coming back. But at these prices, you just do not need him to come back to being a superstar. You need him to come back to like running a bunch of routes and having some spike weeks. For reference, like he is still such a massive, big athlete that I don't get why he can't be Allen Lazard as a wide receiver. Like Allen Lazard's best season is like 60 catches, 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And at tight end, that's awesome. Like just be a 50-50 ball, low yards per route run, gets a bunch of targets because you're out there all the time, de facto wide receiver, which is like the fact that they're saying he's lining up mostly with the wide receivers. Maybe think that's how they see him now, is that he is just more of what, like the positionless stuff we talked about. The fact that he
have a position, never good.
Maybe he has a position now and it's just large wide receiver.
Denny is insisting that Dawson Knox being on the NFI list matters for some reason. Why is that, Denny? Through the lens of Dalton Kincaid.
We need one thing to happen for Dalton Kincaid to have his second good game of his life, and that is for Dawson Knox not to play. Dawson Knox ruins everything because he's boys with Josh Allen. He's not necessarily good, but he's out there enough to knock down Kincaid's route participation to a concerning level. But the reason I said that is because I wrote a piece on this, I don't know, 8 months ago. It seems like that, 30 days ago, where Dalton Kincaid was second among all tight ends in targets per route run last year. That's pretty good. You know, I mean, he can command targets. You just got to get him out there for more than 50% of the routes.
There's a reason he's never out there, though, because he's not better. First off, not being able to keep Dawson Knox off the field is a huge red flag for if you're good.
I think Dawson Knox is fine.
And if you can't keep Dawson Knox off the field, they'll just find some other guy to throw. Quentin Morris is now
not on the team anymore, I don't think.
45% snap player. They're going to re-sign him if the Knox thing is serious. I don't even know if he's. I mean, it's the fell for it again tight end season, Kyle. Any quick thoughts on Mr. Dalton Kincaid? It's in the air.
I mean, I feel like it was like 4 years ago that every single offseason was like, which fourth-year breakout tight end are we going to have? Which third-year breakout tight end? Like,
it's true.
It is a hard position to learn. I think the data generally bears this out. We've had what I would call is like probably a few flukes. Like Brock Bowers, I think Brock Bowers and Kyle Pitts are the 2 best prospects, and they're in a very clear tier where there's not a third best prospect that looks like them, like of my lifetime, essentially. And the fact that both of them, but especially Brock Bowers, hit as a rookie doesn't make me think the NFL has changed how rookies enter the league. the one player who does break this mold and is not a generational player is Sam Laporta. And he totally did. Like, he did just break the mold for what we expect for tight ends. But we have like one solid example of a young, like a rookie tight end really breaking out early who isn't a generational prospect. That does not make me think that we should be gauging all rookies on that. Did you break out, or are you just, we're throwing you in the trash? You're not good anymore. I want to leave the light on for who could still be Josh Allen's essentially number one wide receiver, because it's only Khalil Shakir there and Keon Coleman to command targets right now. And the fact that he's looked good on a limited sample, as Denny pointed out, just earning targets. When he's out there, they throw him the football, and now their hand is being forced, potentially, if Dawson Knox stays on the NFI for a while, to keep him out there. I don't think that's their plan. Like, I don't think they want him out there, especially on plays where, like, you're trying to fake that you can block. You don't put Dawson Knox out there, or you don't put Dalton Kincaid out there on play actions. You're like, well, no one's going to believe that he's staying in the block. It's not what he does. But if your hand is forced to do that and you're just putting him out there for every snap, I actually think that's kind of what a forced breakout could look like.
It's actually a somewhat compelling Dalton Kincaid take. And it's not like they need him any less. They need quality targets. And yeah, maybe the young man, although he's not young, he entered the league extremely old.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of competition for targets. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, that's over. Like, I you know what, Josh Palmer is.
Well, I say this is when Dalton Kincaid desperately wishes he were better than Josh Palmer, but he's
I just want to say Josh Palmer is going to be a thing, unfortunately.
He is very much going to be a thing. Colston Loveland going to be a thing. He's practicing to begin training camp. He's avoided Ben Johnson's wrath for now. I mean, he's going to catch it again later. But Colston Loveland cleared for camp. What do we think?
I don't know. I mean, I just talked about this, that we got really spoiled with two really good. I mean, I think Kyle Pitts going for 1,000 yards is really good too. So call it like 2.5 if you want to. Really good rookie tight end seasons. But I'm still more so leaning on the large sample of data that says it's a very difficult position to transition to the NFL and have immediate fantasy specific success as well. And they have someone in Cole Kmet who I don't think is that good, but I do think he fits the Dawson Knox bill of teams will use him to block their rising star, top 10 overall pick, tight end draft pick. And that's enough for me to say, like, look at the data. Zach Ertz last year, if his fantasy season was a rookie season, would have been the 10th best rookie season of all time. Like, Zach freaking Ertz, the bar for rookie production is so low in terms of, like, you can have a really bad season and we'll still be like, turns out that was pretty good. That's not very useful in fantasy, though. Like, if you get one of the better tight end seasons for a rookie, all you've scored at minimum is like a Zach Ertz, because you really want him to push into that Sam Laporta range to be a big hit. I just don't know that you have big hit in his range of outcomes, given the setup of having Cole Kmet and given that the history of rookie tight ends is really bad. So I should probably warm up to it a little more because he was a good prospect. I want to be in on these Bears, but the data is just not good for rookie tight ends.
You also left out the history of fake sharps who think they know more than they actually do, and Ben Johnson, who is bitten off so much more than he can chew. Like, look, listen, I need 7 guys that I need to be trying to get him the ball, not 5. All right, I need 2 more super talented guys. They're going to start literally crying the second they don't get the ball. And it's like, I just don't think he has any idea what he's getting himself into with all these egos, all these guys who frankly deserve the ball. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into after this short break. We'll be right back after this. Tune in to the Tour de France daily recap at 7 p.m. Eastern on the NBC Sports Now channel and enjoy extended highlights and stage previews with special episodes of Beyond the Podium. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Visit NBCSports.com for more details. I forgot what our website was. Beyond the Podium is a strangely compelling show, by the way. I don't know anything about cycling, but they know so much about it, and they get really passionate. And I like it.
It's cool to hear someone talk about a non-mainstream sport and in all of its glorious detail.
You want to talk about a non-mainstream RB1? It was Zach Charbonnet last year. Kenneth Walker did his thing. He got hurt as usual. He missed 6 games. In the 6 games he missed, Zach Charbonnet averaged 19.2 PPR points. Would have made him the RB5 on the year. I feel like there's been some weird Twitter whispers that like the Seahawks could be throwing open the running back competition. No real indication of that from head coach Mike McDonald, though, Denny. Kenneth Walker is healthy. Kenneth Walker and healthy, though, is always just a for now thing.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker's ADP is still high. Like, people are just, they never give up on Kenneth Walker. He's the RB16. Zach Charbonnet is the RB37. Does that gap seem way too wide to you? I feel like this is a situation that's going to get talked about more as training camp in the summer rolls on.
I guess we'll have to see how camp plays out. I would be surprised if Walker is not treated like the clear lead back headed into the season. And the reason why we keep drafting him, and I know you guys know this, but it's because the weekly upside is crazy. Like, he's one of like the few guys who can turn 15 touches into like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, just like that, right? In games where he actually played the whole game, which is rare for Ken Walker, but
3 of them to be specific is the sample set.
Yeah, right. Last year, he averaged 15 carries and almost 5 targets per game in those full games. That's a solid enough profile for where he's going. Charbonnet remains an amazing contingency option just based on volume alone, especially because Mike McDonald has been like, just to be clear, we're never throwing the ball. And so Charbonnet would be the beneficiary of that. But like, really, like I'd rather have Walker at ADP, I think.
Mike McDonald is one of those things where he's like walked away, the press conference is over, and he's walked back to the mic. It's like, just want to try a clear sub in case you know, yeah, we are literally never throwing. Yeah.
We got Sam Darnold to hand it off 49 times a game.
Don't accuse us of thinking Sam Darnold can pass.
And by the way, if you guys think that Jalen Milroe is not going to be used in special rushing packages, you've lost your mind.
Oh, hell yeah. It's coming. Kyle, Zach Charbonnet is weird because based on the workload he gets as the 1B back, he should have standalone value. But as like an RB3 flex, kind of like a guy you don't really want to start, but a guy you can start. But he never has big days when Kenneth Walker is playing, even if he gets like 8 or 10 touches. Then he seems like the fabled classic rhythm back, though, where when they know he's getting 20 carries, he's going to bust enough of them. He's going to have a big fantasy day. Do you think that should get his ADP higher than RB37? Or is it just too much sitting around and waiting for an injury for your liking to treat Zach Charbonnet as anything more than the RB37?
Yeah, I think especially in redraft, like he strikes me as the ultimate roster clogger. Where like week 4, week 5, what are you doing with this guy? There are breakouts waiting on the waiver wire.
You're getting pissed.
You're like, if imagine it's a co-managed league too. You've got a fellow manager and you've got the waiver wire spot.
Won't stop texting you about it. Yeah.
Yes, you're like, come on, man, can we drop? I'm gonna put in a bid. And they're like, don't put in a bid. I'm actually gonna put in a bid for someone else. And I mean, he's just completely like you said, he's completely unusable as just the backup. Last year in the games Ken Walker played, he averaged 4 carries and like 2 catches per game. That's just not enough.
That's less.
It's just not enough. He like weirdly popped up. Probably what you're remembering is like late in the season. Probably when Ken Walker was still banged up and playing too. He'd like randomly sub in for a goal line touch or 2. I think he scored one of them, but it's not in any facet predictable. So I think for the most part in redraft, you just have to treat him as a pure backup. And that's kind of a frustrating bet to make when you are missing out on opportunities to churn the waiver wire. But even in best ball, like, congrats, you spent the most money on a guy who is unlikely to contribute that often to your lineup that you possibly can. Like, I would just take Tyler Algier at that, like at a way reduced price. Because Tyler Algier is not getting the ball when Bijan is healthy, but he's getting the ball a lot when he's not.
Absolutely.
I vowed to never cut Denny's mic again because I can't have it in his head that I'm going to cut his mic. But then you bring up Tyler Algier.
Which one of these players do you think is better, Charbonnet or Algier?
Algier.
Charbonnet.
I kind of think it's Algier.
Charbonnet. I think the metrics probably say Algier, but I think it's Charbonnet.
The metrics were kind to Charbonnet last year. He did well. It wasn't anything special, but I think it was his best year. And like you said, maybe it was to the point of like, give him 3 games where he gets 20 carries. And he's kind of good on 20, but he's not good on 4.
No, he's not. He's a rhythm back. Rhythm backs are very real, no matter what the analytics, what the stats tell you. Training camp is very real. It is raging. We're blurbing it all up at rotoworld.com. Our team preview series is just about over, but full breakdown on all 32 teams, article length. We got a free draft guide coming for you very soon. Finishing that up. Lots of awesome stuff. Lots more awesome Rotoworld football shows next week. Although Denny Carter is on vacation, which is
I will not be with the boys next week, but what we have agreed to is at least 2 horrible takes per show while I'm gone.
Denny,
I'm thinking next week we start off and you're like, Denny, what do you have to say about this? What are your terrible takes about Travis Hunter? And right before, in theory, he would be talking, cut his mic, and he doesn't quite talk the rest of the episode.
That's true. That's a very good point. So Kyle and I'll be back next week. We'll have a guest or 2, I'm assuming. And then, so listen next week. This is the worst outro of the show I've ever had. I'm Pat. That's Denny. That's Kyle. Catch you later.